From the News Channel 5 network, this is Pharmacist on Call.
Good evening, Nashville, Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, those of you as far west as Jackson, those of you as far east as McMinnville. Welcome to Pharmacist on Call with your host, Dr. Shawn Pruitt. And if you're watching this show, I am your community pharmacist. So everyone, welcome to our July edition of Pharmacist on Call. This is your 1 hour forum where you get to call and ask all those burning health questions that you don't get to ask your doctors or your pharmacists because, let's face it, they are busy. They don't have time. For this hour, I have the time for you. So call in with your questions and your comments. I did want to start in with some condolences, the birthdays and all of that. I did want to wish my nephew, Artie Leroy Thomas, a happy birthday. His birthday should be coming up here in the next week or so. And also wanted to do some condolences as well. Wanted to say goodbye to a good friend of the pharmacy, Miss Yolanda Barnett. For those of you who grew up in the Nashville area, we called her Blondie. She transitioned a couple of months ago, and I forgot to mention it with all that was going on. And also, we lost another patient, Mr. Beasley. He transitioned, I believe, a few weeks ago as well. So wanted to say goodbye to him and wish his family condolences as well. And also a good friend of the pharmacy, Mr. Willie Davis, whose wife transitioned back in February, but I hadn't seen him in a good minute. So this is my first time getting to see him. And certainly Mr. Calvin Childress, husband of Miss Connie McGuire, wanted to send condolences out to her as well and to the rest of his family. Okay, so it looks like we're going to dig in. We're doing birthday shout outs. Okay, all right, so everyone, we are in COVID season. So I guess we will have a good COVID discussion tonight. But also, I know the last show we kind of talked about the whole racism piece. That is still on the table to discuss. So if you still had points that you wanted to get out, and because the show was really busy on the phone calls, everybody didn't get to speak their piece. But if you have something to say, call in. It doesn't have to be a question. It could be a comment. But certainly it is worth discussing. Racism hasn't gone away, and so neither will the discussion. So we're going to talk about it as a mental illness, time permitting. But what's going to have to supersede that is the conversation about COVID-19, because there are changing developments with regards to the pandemic. So we want to kind of push it to the forefront here for this show. But again, you know, if you want to discuss other things, you're certainly welcome to do that. So it looks like the mayor has pushed us back into phase 2 because of the continued numbers increasing with COVID-19. So you all will probably have to look and see exactly what that phase 2 means. I know that bars will be closing, restaurants will probably go down to 50% capacity. In fact, I believe they've even canceled the fireworks show for this weekend. So that lets you know it's pretty serious. So we do have to maintain that whole social distancing thing, because it is a factor. As much as you can, try to adhere to the mask policy, because it does help. But what helps even more is you getting yourself as healthy as possible. So I did want to kind of talk about COVID. Doing research and everything is kind of changing. I did want to let everybody know that it appears when I first came on and I said, hey, this thing is killing you by attacking your organs, and that is true. And so as time has gone on, we found out specifically what has gone on with the organs, with the lung piece, the heart, the kidneys, and pancreas, and all that. It appears that COVID-19 is causing blood clots. And so that's why the people in Wuhan had such a poor prognosis, and they died from pneumonia, or what we thought was pneumonia. And it may have been pneumonia, but the big problem was lung clots and inflammation. Because no amount of respirators will be able to remove that. You're going to need blood thinners. So it looks like it's causing clots in the heart, because if you see now, a lot of younger people are dying, and it appears that they are dying from strokes. They're dying from, we thought was diabetes, we thought it was heart attacks, but it's clotting taking place in these organs. And what happens is when you do that is the organs are going to shut down because they're not getting the proper blood supply that they need to. So it looks like we need to change or add on blood thinners to our COVID-19 therapy, more so than buying ventilators. And then certainly inflammation is a big part. So I see that dexamethasone is in the news now, and it may have a role, as well as azithromycin, because we know it does treat upper respiratory infections. So I also wanted to let you know, in addition to finding out that it kills you by blood clots, we also see that there is a mutant strain out, and it's pretty prevalent here in the United States, in Europe, and it looks like it's beginning to surface in India, Iran, and a few other countries. And you're probably like, well, Dr. Pruitt, I mean, it's still COVID, you know, what's the difference? Well, whereas COVID primarily infected you through the ACE2 receptor, or was able to replicate through the ACE2 receptor, this new mutant strain, whose name is D614G, this new mutant strain is able to infect you through the ACE2, the CD147, and through your T lymphocytes. And so it has multiple places now where it can infect you. And so not just your organs, but it can get into the bloodstream. And so that may explain some of the coagulopathy problems with the clotting that we see. The interesting thing about this new mutant strain is that it apparently, I gotta say it. So what happens when COVID-2, the first mutant strain, your body has a response to it, and so it has an immune response to the myeloid immune system and through the lymphoid immune system. So the myeloid is where you get the cytokine storm and all that, and all the inflammatory chemicals in the body, and the cells attack. But through the innate or the lymphoid immune response, that is where we produce antibodies. And so it looks like this virus, through its mutation, is able to turn off that antibody producing mechanism. Now, why is that important? Because antibodies are our fighters. It helps us, so if you get COVID and you recover, you're going to produce antibodies to it. And so the antibodies, if you're infected by it again, it's going to circulate and look for it because it remembers what it was, and it's going to attack it and kill it. Well, this new mutant strain renders that part of the immune system defunct or disabled, and so it's not able to produce antibodies to help kill off the virus. So it's leaving you with one arm. But the bad part about that is that it is ramping up the myeloid part of the immune system, which is where we get our cytokine storm, which was responsible for so many of the people dying in Wuhan, because once you get that inflammatory process going, it's going to be hard to get air into your lungs and even your other organs. So this thing is really smart. It is learning and mutating and growing. So not only is it able to infect you through different ways, it's also able to kill you through different mechanisms. Again, the antibody piece is important. So yeah, it does not look good. And so that kind of explains to me anyway why the numbers are increasing the way that they are. And I want you all to know that you can be reinfected with COVID-19. So just because you got over it, now that this new mutant strain is out here, you can be reinfected. And not only that, it's going to use your body against you, and you don't have any antibodies to help you mount a defense. And so this new strain appears to be a little bit deadlier because, you know, those corona, the spikes that attach. Now on COVID-19, the first one, some of those, not all those spikes were activated. And so they weren't able to attach like this new one is. Now, I think this one has 4 to 5 times more of the spikes that are active. And so once it comes in contact with your cells or, your organs, that it's going to be easy, especially now that it's able to infect you through different mechanisms. So infection looks like it's going to be easier. Infection looks like it's going to be more severe. So I want you all to take this thing seriously. Even if you got it and you got over it, once you catch this new strain, it's going to be a little tough for you to kind of get past. But it looks like we're up on our first break. We'll be right back. You all stay right there.